What's up? What's up? What's up? And welcome to the Pump Fake Pod. Another conference preview, just knocking them down left and right. We've had now 12 conference previews, I believe Elliot said last episode. All conference previews recorded on YouTube this offseason. October's next week. Things are just going to be around the corner here when we're starting to bet games. So I'm excited for a good conference. I love the Sun Belt, and I'm always a SWAC fan as too. Elliot, how are we feeling about these two conferences?
Hey, you know I don't discriminate. I love all college basketball, whether it's Power 5, mid-major, low mid-major. So I'm excited to kind of dig into this and do some, talk about some teams and do some research and things like that. Probably very few do, but we do it for everybody else. So, yeah, hopefully everybody's tuning in, watching the previews, like you said. We'll be at after these two, 14 out of 31. So almost halfway there after tonight. So, yeah, I'm excited.
And I am too. Remember, we are the Pump Fake Pod. We talk all games, all conferences, no matter what's going on. We love call things college basketball. Follow us on YouTube at Pump Fake Pod. Like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at the same handle, at Pump Fake Pod as well. All right, let's get into it. Talking Sun Belt first. Sun Belt Conference, always a good conference. Definitely a fun one across the board, and especially a good team in one. Appalachian State, the Mountaineers in Boone, North Carolina. Last season, 17-14. Sun Belt 10-8, sixth place in the conference. One returning starter this year under Coach Dustin Kearns, 114-76, 6 years. I think this is a storied program in all types of sports, and a good program that is. But it was a mid-year for them last year, I believe, and it was kind of tough just to see them kind of falter. I felt like defensively they lacked and wasn't their normal defensive kind of prowess. But you bring back one returning starter, you kind of bring back some size as well too, and then also some transfers in that I think is pretty good. You bring in some transfers from the Sun Belt Conference as well, from Jordan Southern and Aaron Banks, Kazan Jennings from South Florida, which I think is fantastic. And then you bring in some other D2 transfers as well, and KJ Vassar and Jalen Tott. So kind of a roster beef, but maybe still that mid Sun Belt Conference here for Appalachian State this year, and not able to take a jump just with the lack of talent. But you never know. They definitely bring in a good amount of depth, and I like this roster, at least to compete with some of these top teams in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, I mean, just speaking of the Sun Belt, if we're going to be doing predictions, if it's anything like last year, it's going to be a tough time making predictions with, that four-way tie at the top last year for first place. And then you also had, a four-way tie for, I believe, what was it? Four-way tie for top for first, and then you had fifth, sixth, seventh, and then a four-way tie for eighth as well. So, it seems to be pretty clustered up there in the Sun Belt. A lot of teams that have similar athletes, similar amount of talent, and it kind of shows when first through 12. First through 1 through 11 in the conference are only separated by 3 games. So that just kind of shows the depth of the conference and the kind of the parity here in this conference. So, might be tough when we're diving in, but yeah, Appalachian State, one of those teams that's usually more of one of those proud programs that's kind of at the top. I think they've got one of the elite home environments there in the Sun Belt. Just a cool place to play in Boone, North Carolina. Obviously, football stadium is elite and is just a beautiful, but I really think that the basketball stadium is slept on as a home court environment. So yeah, I think you bring up good points, and I look for App State to kind of get back on track. I know they had a little bit of a down year last year in terms of to their standards. So I expect them, to be probably similar record, 10-8. Whether that's sixth, maybe a little bit before. I think in the non-conference, they instead of being 7-6, they might have a little bit more success there, hopefully. So we'll kind of see, but don't think that the pieces that they bring in are making a significant difference that is going to like emerge them as one of those front runners there in the Sun Belt. But like I said, you never know when 1 through 11 are 3 games difference.
They bring in a lot of young pieces in the front court. I think it's definitely going to help them to gel into their system right away, and also build a mold for the future. So yeah, let's go Mountaineers. Arkansas State Red Wolves out of Jonesboro, 25-11, 15-5, tied for first. A lot of tied for first, a lot of ties in the Sun Belt.
13-5.
13-5, correct. Yes, 13-5 was the tie for first. Coach Ryan Pannoni, first year, 0 returning starters, so a new look for Arkansas State after a solid season and an NCAA tournament run. So love the Red Wolves last year. They were a solid team. I think they may still have some talent, but you do have to imagine that they're a little worrisome, Elliot, of just a whole new look, right? So what do you think about this new branded Red Wolves for 2025?
Yeah, a lot of pressure on first year coach Ryan Pannoni. Not quite sure on the pronunciation of that last name, but I think tying for first last year. People, this year and kind of the preseason, they're pretty high on them as well. So he's got a lot of pressure coming into his first year to just have this immediate success in such a very competitive Sun Belt conference. So he's going to be tested early for sure. When they go in that, one of my favorite things at the very beginning of the year, there in November, is the MAC Sun Belt Challenge. And Arkansas State travels to Ohio. So it's going to be kind of
early on too. That's always
right week 1.
Game 1, I think.
Talking about early November 3rd, maybe. If not opening day, it's one of those first few days of the opening week. So they start out with a tough test there at Ohio. So we're going to really see what this Arkansas State team is made of. And he's going to get an immediate test pretty quick. So I think we'll be able to see quickly kind of what they've got and how he's able to kind of handle the pressure to start his first year as head coach there.
And then you bring in transfers from Lindenwood. You bring in transfers from Sacramento State. I believe UT Arlington as well. So interesting. And then you got everybody and anybody from the JUCOs taking the next step. So I think they have talent. They'll be able to compete always. Arkansas State's a good program, but I don't know. I don't think they can go back to back.
Yeah, it's one of those. Shout out real quick, just Coach Hodgson from last year. Got the USF job over this summer, and then they kind of basically went right back to the well and ended up going back onto Coach Oates' staff there from Alabama, and hired another assistant from Coach Nate Oates' staff, and Pannone, however you pronounce it. So if that says anything, there might be some success to come, but they're just kind of going back to the well, hiring another assistant coach for underneath Nate Oates from Alabama.
Coastal Carolina, Chanticleer is out of Myrtle Beach, Conway, South Carolina. Last season was 10-22, Sun Belt 3-15, 13th in the conference. One returning starter, second year under Justin Gray. We talk about these kind of teams a lot lately in these previews. Is when they have a bad season, are they able to take that next step and the next jump? Was able to get 10 wins. Not saying that's impressive by any means, but it is year 2. They could take a step up. Coastal Carolina has not made the NCAA tournament in 10 years. So 10-year curse potentially, but you only bring back one returning starter, and then also some transfers. Rashid Jones from Western Carolina, which is interesting. Andy Mulbea from Dixie State, and then also a player from Lemoyne as well. So I don't know. I'm not high on this team. I love Coastal Carolina. It's an easy program to root for, but I'm just not high on this team again, and I think they're going to maybe take this step in the right direction, but also step backs at times. So, yeah, lower end of the conference for me. But, yeah, you bring in a Boston College transfer and a Oregon State transfer. So I think their roster actually kind of beefed up better. It wasn't as embarrassing as it was last year.
Yeah, I think the Chanticleers love the mascot. To me, they're a baseball school, and that's kind of what they are now. They did have that good kind of run there with the football program, but ever since Cliff Ellis kind of stepped away mid-season back in 2023, kind of in the middle of December, they haven't been very good. Interim coach there didn't really do much of anything, and then you look at last year, they bring on Coach Gray, and he takes them to second to last in the conference. I don't really see them making a jump up. I see them, some of those coaches kind of get that trampoline that second year, and we see them take a huge step up. From what they were, they don't really return much, and they got some pieces in the portal. But in my eyes, there's nothing that's really stood out to me. One of the guys that kind of stood out to me maybe was AJ Dankler. He's averaged 15 points a game, 3.5 assists, shot 40% from three for Lemoyne last year. So he's going to definitely have to step up in the offensive department for them. But I'm just really not impressed with their defensive just on the defensive end. Worst defensive efficiency there in the Sun Belt last year, and I don't expect it to change much. Didn't feel like they brought in or focused on guys that could play a good role on the defensive end. So I expect them to be, right there 13th or hovering around 13th yet again this year.
The Georgia Southern Eagles out of Statesboro, Georgia, last season 17-16, Sun Belt 8-10, tied for 8th, whole new look. 0 returning starters under Coach Charlie Henry, who's 26-40 in 2 years. But it was a step in the right direction. Now you have a whole new rebrand, but it's familiar in this conference. You do have players that you bring in from UAB, Tylen Moore. Nakavian White as well too, which is the only returner from the entire team last year, which is a big producer as well. And then Alden Applewhite from Murray State, and then also Jefferson Kulabay from Pacific. So I kind of like this Georgia Southern team. You even bring in a couple great JUCO transfers that produced a lot with a lot of usage. So they're always probably going to be the middle of the road talent-wise, but I like this Georgia Southern team. I think they're going to be able to compete, but middle of the pack of this conference.
Yeah, successful year last year, I think, being tied 8th there in the conference, finishing above 500 in your overall record there for Coach Henry in year 2. A big guy that I think that's going to play a big role that people maybe would have forgot about. But 2 years ago, Tyron Moore, he was on the team for the Eagles, and he led them with 17 points, 3 assists, shot 40% from the 3, was a big kind of contributor to them. Then he ended up transferring to UAB for what he thought was going to be his last season. And then the Diego Pavia ruling came out and granted the JUCO players an extra year of eligibility. So he's decided to return to Statesboro for one last kind of hoorah. So I really expect him, he was an all Sun Belt player the year before when he was with Georgia Southern. So I think if he can kind of get back into that form and kind of be as successful as he was, they're going to have a good, reliable scoring guard that they can rely on down the stretch. So yeah, look for Tyron Moore there to make a name for himself yet again as he returns to the Sun Belt.
Yeah, I liked Tyron Moore a lot, and good call out. I mean, remember him from UAB, so good call out there on the return back to Georgia Southern.
Yeah.
Yeah, middle of the road. Any final thoughts, Elliot, for the Eagles?
Yeah. One more, Spud Webb Jr.
That's the one of the JUCO players I was talking about with a lot of usage. Yeah,
Mr. Spud Webb. You can't ignore Spud Webb. I hope he wears number 4. I hope he actually. Unfortunately, he's 6'4". I thought it was maybe a typo. I thought he was 5'4".
The nickname, I think, right? Like a Yogi Ferrell type situation.
I was thinking he was 5'4", and then wearing number 4, it would have fit. But yeah, he comes from D2 Emmanuel there in Georgia. Like you said, high usage player, average 20 a game. So elite name. He's definitely got some tough shoes, I mean, small shoes, but big shoes to fill if he's going to try to uphold that name in the basketball world.
I like Georgia Southern, sneaky team for me.
They just don't get anybody in their at their games. Seems like
it's a problem. It's an epidemic. Go to games. They're easy to get to. They're cheap. You can sit wherever you want.
I know, and I feel like
until people start going to games, though, then they can't. That's when you get a good environment. So
I mix up Georgia Southern and Georgia State. I think but I think if I'm remembering correctly, Georgia Southern has a bigger arena, and it seems like that kind of doesn't.
I think Georgia State does because they're in Atlanta. I'm pretty sure
Georgia State does.
I think so, just because they're in Atlanta. I think
I know
arena.
Yeah, I know one of them. Whichever one's bigger, it just feels super empty. Just because it's one of those things. It's not a lot of fans travel. I should say, not a lot of fans.
Georgia Southern is actually a bigger home court, actually. So.
Is it? So it might be them, but so not a lot of people come. And then when you have a big stadium like that, and you don't have high attendance, it makes it look very, very empty.
Easier to score points. Let's go Eagles. Georgia State out of downtown Atlanta, Georgia, last season 14-19, Sunbelt 8-10, tied for 8th. 2 returning starters under Coach Jonas Hayes, 38-57, 4 years in the program for the Panthers. 2 returning starters, always nice. They're bringing back Jelani Hamilton and also Malachi Brown as well. And then Clash Peters off the bench. So 3 returning players in totality for the Panthers. So, excuse me. Yes. Kind of the same situation, if I'm not mistaken, Elliot. Transfer to a different program, come back to Georgia State for Hamilton, and then incredible Ja'Kai Newton, who had a lot of potential and a lot of hope under the IU, but just could not get out of the injury bug. Will be at Georgia State. Don't bank on him playing, but knowing that, I wish him well. Josh Chappelle, Pearl River College transfer, and then Anthony Eno from Rockland, California. So you bring in some JUCOs. I like Georgia State. I think they're a good program. Remember the Ron Hunter days, but I don't know. I watched them last year. They were rough. They were rough to watch offensively. I felt like they just weren't in a good system, and I think their only strength is rebounding, and I think they lost a lot of their rebounding in the front court. So it's a major rebuild for the Panthers here. I think it's going to continue, unfortunately, here in 2025.
Yeah, you bring up the strength with the defense, with the rebounding, but man, their defense has been just putrid under Coach Hayes there at Georgia State. Last year I think gave up close to 78, 79 points a game, 319th in defensive efficiency in KenPom, so near the bottom of the entire country. So if they're gonna be a little bit more competitive. I know last year tied 8th, pretty competitive, but if they're gonna want to take another step up, they're gonna have to get better on the defensive end. I think they try to do that with redshirt freshman Trey Scott, 6'11", 225-pound forward. They're kind of high on him, specifically on the defensive end. But two other guys that I think you could maybe pay attention to are a couple freshmen and kind of from or that have been around like Atlanta area the last year. Chris Jones went to from Douglas High School, averaged 18 points, 9 rebounds, and then a 6'3" guard, Micah Tucker. He came from Overtime Elite. So don't know much about the Overtime Elite players. I don't typically really watch or necessarily support that kind of brand, but from what I've heard, obviously those players can play. And so, he might be a name to watch for, those two freshmen, maybe making an immediate impact for Georgia State.
Yeah. I like these Georgia teams. They may be a sneaky pick that they're going to flirt with the bottom projection-wise, but I think they could be sneaky in this conference. Always, especially in March. James Madison, the Dukes, Harrisonburg, Virginia, last season, 2013, 13-5, tied for first. 2 returning starters, Preston Spradlin's second year. So there was some worry last year about, losing their coach and then Preston Spradlin taking over the program. But I like this James Madison team. They're well coached, but do we see potentially a sophomore slump? 2 returning starters, and one of them only started 5 games. Eddie Ricks, the third, is the one returning starter consistently. And then you also have Justin Taylor returning, Matt Hain, Cliff Davis, and Bradley Douglas. But they really have not seen the floor much, Elliot. And they did bring a lot of transfers as well. But Cliff Davis from UTRGV actually did. So that transfer, I'm really excited. 12.6 points per game there. And then they bring in a ton of different transfers I think you don't mind touching on, because I think they did well in the portal this 2025.
Yeah, first things first, got to shout out a former Kansas State Wildcat, Brendan Foley, assistant coach there. He was a graduate assistant under Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. So as you can see,
we said that a lot.
I know.
We said that a lot. I feel like there's a big coaching tree.
Yeah, big coaching tree, or at least, in these last 3 nights, I've definitely shouted out a coach from that 2006 to 2008 range that had been both under Huggins and Frank Martin, and has, now either an assistant coach or a head coach here at the mid-major level. He actually played basketball at Avila University, NAIA school here in Kansas City, about 20 minutes away from me. They were in the same conference that I played in. So shout out to Brendan Foley. Always gotta shout out the former K-Staters. Gotta be faithful, gotta be proud. But yeah, you bring a good point with all the transfers that they brought in. I think one of the big ones is the Winthrop transfer, Paul Jones III. Another guy, Paul Lewis, played last year at UTSA, was injured, but then got transferred midseason. And then 2 other ones, Nevada forward Justin McBride and Duquesne forward Eli Wilborn are a couple other forwards. So they brought in a couple guards in the portal, and then a couple of those forwards, like I just mentioned. Biggest one for me, I think, besides Paul Jones III, I think he can make an immediate impact coming from Winthrop. There's another guy, Ike Cornish, not sure how to pronounce that, but 6'6" guard, Nichols transfer. I think he's going to be super athletic and can play a big factor for James Madison this year.
Yeah, I think worrisome about their backcourt, but a lot of pieces brought in. I think they're going to have to find just some stride, but they've had some magic in the early part of the season these last few years. Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns, notice the spelling there. Lafayette, Louisiana, last season 12-21. Sunbelt 8-10, tied for 8th again. Another one tied for 8th. 2 returning starters.
Telling you, you're gonna have a lot of tied for first and a lot of tied for 8th last year.
Yes, we will. It's impressive. Quantus White's first year, though, so retaining 2 starters under your first year, always a good thing. A graduate from Oklahoma in 2006. 8 Division I transfers joining the program. Jamion Keller from Oklahoma State, Karis Bilal from Vanderbilt, Todd Jones Jr. from Portland, Darius Woodson from North Dakota, and then Devion Levin from Purdue, Fort Wayne. And then, you got a couple other players, Sam Houston, Louisiana Tech, and then Zoe 101, Jackson Olvera from Pepperdine. So tons of a whole new rebrand and then 2 starters as well. So I like this Lafayette team. I think there's going to be improvements, but that's going to be a major step up, I think, that they're going to need just based on their performance last year. But I think they'll be a little better. Well, just a little better. Just a little.
Yeah, as expected, in a first year coaching on a team that has a first year coach, only 3 returners out of the 13 scholarship players. So a lot of turnover. And I'm going to go back to the well. Shout out K-State again. You mentioned the Sam Houston transfer, Dorian Finister. He played at K-State his freshman year, averaged like 3 points, 2 rebounds. It was I really actually enjoyed watching him play. He's very electric. He's kind of a streaky shooter, but he's super athletic and can really guard and bring the energy. I didn't think that he really got going last year at Sam Houston, and they didn't really utilize him. So I'm hoping that he kind of finds a better fit with Coach White here in his first year. But yeah, I expect big things from him. He, I thought if he would have stayed at K-State and developed, he could have been a pretty good, just kind of a role player there at the Big 12 level. So I think he was just looking for a more expanded role, and that's why he kind of transferred down to the mid-major level. So always fun watching, former K-Staters, even when they transfer, watch them have success with other teams. So I always am rooting and cheering that on. So yeah.
Yeah, I like Lafayette. I think they actually bring in a good pieces and great colleges mentioned as well, stepping into this conference. So I think they may be able to be competitive.
Yeah, and despite my high praises on Finister, I feel like actually in this first year, personally, I think they might drop just a little bit. Or if they don't necessarily drop a little bit, it's because there wasn't 4 teams that were tied 8th. Maybe they finished 10th, which is probably what they would have finished last year if they weren't tied 8th.
Right. The Herd. Remember they were bad on the road last year. Well, they were great at home. The Marshall Thundering Herd, Huntington, West Virginia, last season 20-13, Sunbelt 12-6, 5th place, 1 returning starter, Cornelius Jackson, 2nd year. So a great first year under Cornelius Jackson. How are we feeling about Marshall, Elliott?
Yeah, first thing that stood out to me when I just kind of looked at the coaching staff was they definitely keep a lot of coaches in house. Coach Jackson, he was a graduate of 2001. 2 of their main assistants, Rob Fullard, Adam Williams, both graduated from Marshall as well. And then their other remaining assistant, Steve Snell, he was from Radford. So kind of, local-ish. But 3 of the 4 coaches are Marshall graduates, so they're kind of keeping it in house to say. But yeah, like you'd mentioned, they were a wagon last year at home, and then it was an auto fade on the road for the most part. So if they want to improve, in this conference, good showing last year, 20-13 overall, 12-6, 5th.
I liked this team last year.
One game out of first, really, which is kind of funny to say if you got 5th and I was 1 game away from first place in the conference. But, I think it was just the fact that they struggled a lot on the road. And so, one of the things that I saw them take a big leap there in that first year was that they got a lot better defensively. So I think his first year or the year before he came, they averaged defense was holding people about 76 points a game. Last year, 71 points a game. So I think he's bringing that kind of like defensive philosophy, which I like. And so especially if you can get those athletic, tall, lanky, athletic, kind of 6'6", 6'7" guys that can really kind of be physical and kind of put the pressure and provide that defensive pressure and defensive presence that he kind of wants. I think that they maybe even will, cut back and then improve that defense again. But yeah, I think the biggest thing for Marshall is just going to be improving on the road. Like I said, they've always been a great home court team. Home court atmosphere is great. And specifically last year, they were really good at home. So if they want to improve a little bit, I think the one thing that they can do is just be a little bit more consistent on the road.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I mean, you bring back a good amount of pieces, though, which is good. I think you got to see that people take that next step. We talked about that a lot as well, and then a transfer from South Carolina State. So I think they're going to be a solid team yet again. They're always a good team, especially at home, like you mentioned, and they need to figure out the road for sure. But yeah, I think defensively they picked it up. They were able to force turnovers. I like this Marshall team. I think they're going to be competitive yet again in 2025. So, I mean, let's see if they can be able to play both sides of the ball on the road. We know they can do it at home, and maybe even flirt with some sneaky covers and wins early on in the season as well, too.
Yeah. So, and the other thing is they led the Sun Belt in blocks last year, and then one of the other big transfers that they brought in was 7'4", 260.
What's his name? It's Don Tobin or something.
Tillman from Elon. So averaged 6 points, 8 rebounds last game. Shot 72% from the field, 72%. But he also blocked 75 shots. Was all defensive team there in the CAA. So for a team that wants to get better defensively, having that big rim protector there at the rim, that could definitely help. And with a team that also led the league in blocks, now you're bringing in a guy who had 75 blocks last year. So they're just kind of, I think, just following suit of kind of what gave them success last year, which I like.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that, and I think that Elon transfer is a great call out as well. I mean, that this team's got a lot of talent. I think I'm high on them. I'm gonna ride the herd.
Yeah, I will be fading him against Frank Martin and UMass though, in that Sun Belt MAC matchup. That they go on the road at UMass, so I will trust in Frank one more time, even though he let me down a lot last year. But Marshall on the road, I'll be on UMass that game.
Stay tuned. A10 preview, I believe, in that October range. So stay tuned there. I think the second week of October. The Monarchs of Old Dominion went through a lot last year. Whole new sports chain. I mean, 2 years ago, interims coach had to step in, and then Jones first full year. You do bring back 3 returning starters. The Old Dominion Monarchs from Norfolk, Virginia, last season 15-20, 8-10, 3 returning starters. It's going to be interesting. They play Maryland, Richmond, Xavier, Villanova, and then George Washington, and then George Mason as well too. So I'm glad that they're playing teams like that are familiar. George Mason in Norfolk as well. So I like that they're getting tested in the non-conference. They may be able to help them compete, especially get a little more toughness around the perimeter. But you do bring back Robert Davis Jr., who averaged 15.6 points per game last season. So I like Old Dominion. I think they could maybe flirt with taking a step above, but just with the continuity of the same team, and then also with an All-American or all Sun Belt team player as well on the team. So a lot of talent on Old Dominion. I think they just kind of lack execution. I think a little bit of toughness, a little bit of experience. They'll figure that out.
Yeah, and it's always good to have another Mike Jones as a coach. Second
Ooh,
Mike Jones shout out in the past 2 days. But yeah, kind of a guy that I'm looking forward to watching is Drew McKenna. He transferred from Georgetown. Started a couple games there in the college basketball crown there at the end of the year when Georgetown wasn't very healthy. So I think that he might be able. He didn't really play. He played sparingly there at Georgetown. Only averaged 2 points, 2 rebounds. But taking that step down and playing at Old Dominion, I think that he could definitely be somebody to keep your eye on and watch for him to kind of take off this year. And then kind of the other one that I would say, it would be Callum Swanton Rogers, the 7-footer. They got a lot of size, as Trevor likes to point out. He likes the size, so I think that this might be one of Trevor's dark horses here. I'm gonna call my shot with Old Dominion and the size that they maybe have with a couple of those guys, a couple 7-footers. So yeah, like you said, I like the pieces that they brought back. It's always nice returning 3 starters on a team that definitely struggled the year before with everything that was going on. Definitely an unfortunate series of events, but they bounced back, and while they didn't really uh, weren't super successful, I feel like it was a good season for them. And especially with it being Mike Jones's first year. And so this is one of those second year kind of bumps that I think is going to happen. I expect Old Dominion to finish above 500 in the regular season, but also there in the Sun Belt as well. And I expect them to finish at the top in the top of the conference. So I would say, 7th or higher. I'm expecting a little bit of a jump for them. And then also, shout out to Zach Wiggins, brother of Aaron Wiggins, Oklahoma City Thunder champion, NBA champion. So another guy on that roster.
Interesting stab there on the shout out there. Okay. Now I have to think of that traumatic experience, Game 7, as well. I'm here on the yellow. Hey, Raymond Burrows. Shout out Raymond Burrows. Thanks for tuning in. Found y'all from CBE. These shows are fire. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in, Raymond.
Appreciate you, Raymond.
We're doing every conference, like thanks for tuning in, and appreciate you.
Yeah, I was just looking because I was curious when we were going to do the A10, but so have a little bit of a break after tonight. We start back up next Wednesday. We're doing the AAC, Thursday, Conference USA and MAC. And then we kind of get into some of those smaller mid-majors again that next week. But then we start to really do kind of one conference a day and really focus on these bigger conferences as we build up to tip off on November 3rd. So, yeah, hopefully you'll join us some more, Raymond, and we appreciate the support. And hop in here. If you got a team or got a conference that you're knowledgeable in, drop some info in the chat. We're always willing to learn from everybody else. We can't read it all. We can't look it up. We can't look it all up. So we rely on you as much as you rely on us. So appreciate you being here.
Yeah, and take all the takes as well. There's never too much of a hot take. We love the hot takes. Yeah, it looks like A10 is Monday, October 6th with the CAA. That's going to be a fun one. Good conferences there. Monday, October 6th for CAA and A10. Yeah, AAAC on Wednesday. So a short week next week. And then the following week, yeah. I think the only one I'll have to maybe miss is the one on October 9th, but we'll see. But other than that, yeah, the final 2 weeks, the middle of October, we start getting in the Big East, Mountain West, Missouri Valley, and then that October 20th to the 23rd, SEC to Big Ten. And then the final week, preseason futures. We always do a top 25 episode every season. So, and then we'll start chopping up all the games, every single game. South Alabama Jaguars, Mobile, Alabama, last season, 21-11, 13-5, tied for first, one returning starter. Coach Richie Riley, 131-94, 7 years. So a great program. South Alabama's been a great team, a fantastic team. And then they lose in the semifinals last year, but now just a complete rebrand for South Alabama. So I think he's actually got talent. You know, he brings in a solid team from or a solid couple players from JUCOs as well, and then everyone in the portal land just kind of all over the place. St. Francis, Chattanooga. So I think that's kind of funny how everyone's just kind of been all over the place. It's a big web in the portal here, but some decent talent, and you got to expect that Richie Riley's got a good system that's going to get that talent to the next level, push them to potential. I can always like South Alabama. I can't say they may have a down year every once in a while, but it's probably a step back. I don't think they're going to win unless there's a 4-way tie, 3-way tie for first, whatever. But I think they'll be competitive always, especially under Riley, like I mentioned. But I think this is going to be a step back, not winning the conference, but talent is there, and I think they're going to be able to get in transition pretty fast with a good backcourt. Yeah, I agree, Virgil. I agree.
Yeah, and, I think that, like you said, Coach Riley, great coach. I think his recruiting philosophy is interesting, and I hope it works out for him. He's bringing in, instead of a lot of the D1 transfers, he's kind of going to the D2, D3 NAIA ranks. Even brought in a kid this year from a Canadian college, so he's really he's really looking at those lower level colleges and finding the players that fit there, that are talented but also fit his system. And I love it. It's one of those things that, we see all these different divisions, and people think that you can't find players at all these different divisions, but that's just so untrue now in today's game. There's talent at every level. You just got to find it. And so the fact that he's, diving into those smaller colleges, D2, D3, NAIA, I just really like it. I like kind of his tactic. And I'm actually, I think that, it's one of those things where I think they're going to be, tied first is a stretch, but I think they finish near the top of the conference again. My biggest thing that I think about it is because I think they have a huge chip on their shoulder this year after being absolutely jobbed by the NIT and not being in the NIT last year after finishing 21-11, losing in the Sun Belt finals and tying for first there in the Sun Belt Conference. I just think it was absolutely terrible that the NIT didn't select them, and I think they were very deserving of getting an NIT last year, and I think they took it personally. So I think it's one of those things where they're going to have a chip on the shoulder this year. They're going to use that as the chip. They're going to use that as motivation day in and day out. And I think he's going to get the best of his team, motivate them using that tactic. And I really expect South Alabama to be in the top 4. So it's a foreshadow for me. I have them in my top 4.
Yeah, good program. It will be interesting to see that NIT because it is a lot of new faces. But yes, Richie Riley definitely going to have that chip on his shoulder. All right, Southern Miss. Massive drama last year with Andre Curbelo. Hattiesburg, Mississippi last season, 11-22, 5-13 in the Sun Belt. Just disaster season, and not the best couple years under Jay Ladner. 76-111 in 6 years. You bring in a lot of D2 guys, like you mentioned last time. So another interesting tactic. A couple guys from Ole Miss, East Tennessee State, another couple JUCO colleges as well. And then I think you're just going to lack size and depth here. So unfortunately, I think Southern Miss is going to be, again, down and below the barrel in the Sun Belt Conference and way back in the conference tournament with a lot of games to play if they want to make it far. No good for the Golden Eagles, which is a good program, which is sad. So I just think it's unfortunate. And then the Curbelo stuff last year, it was kind of wild witnessing this team I think they're going to get out of the quicksand a tad, but not this year.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the classic addition by subtraction. I think that finally you have 0 returning starters, but the most important piece of that is Curbelo is gone. They don't have to deal with this bullshit anymore. And I think that was just weighing that team down for the last 2 years that he was there. So, while I don't think that they're going to be very good, I do think that, they may be a little bit better, or at least play for each other a little bit more without having that cancer in Curbelo on their team. So, I think that the talent isn't really there to be competitive at the top of the conference here, but I definitely feel like they're going to be competitive in regards to just playing together, playing hard, and not dealing with all that BS that Curbelo brought them. So high up tempo type pace team. They like to run it up and down the court. I like kind of the style of game that they play. However, the athletes needed just aren't there for them, in my opinion, to be successful there in the Sun Belt, to run that kind of high up tempo pace without a strong defensive presence. So, I expect them to be towards the bottom of the conference. However, I think they're going to play with a little bit more pride, I should say. That's probably a good way to put it this year. Play together, play with a lot more pride than they have in the past couple of years.
Yeah, I can't agree more. All right, Texas State, the Bobcats, San Marco, Texas. Average year last year as can be, 16-16, 9-9 in the Sun Belt. 1 returning starter, Terrence Johnson, 88 and 68. Elliot, you can lead this one. How you feeling about the Bobcats, which is normally a pretty good program?
Yeah, I don't know a lot about this team. One of kind of the big guys that I think that's going to be very impactful for this is, unfortunately, an intra-conference transfer in Jalen Bolden, came from UL Monroe. Obviously, I think that with UL Monroe having the coaching change, deservedly so, they should be able to transfer wherever. But yeah, I think that he's going to be able to be a good piece for them. And then another guy that they also brought in kind of interconference was Kendall Davis, came from UL Lafayette. So those 2 guys I really think are going to play key roles for them. And then the rest, they brought in a lot of unknown guys, to me at least. But I really think Texas State, they're not too high, they're not too low. As it was last year, they were completely average, 16-16, 9-9. You see Terrence Johnson, definitely above average, 88 and 68 is impressive. Kind of the first 5 years they're in the Sun Belt. I expect them to be similar. Nothing stood out to me that would make them make a big jump, but also at the same time, nothing stood out to me to make me think that they're going to take a significant step backwards. So, I see them being another average year, right there, middle of the conference, 7th, 8th, something around there. The definition of average.
Senioritis for me, they're going to the Pac-12. I think they know the destination that is next year, going into the Pac-12 league as we know it, or as we don't know it, because what the hell is going to happen next year? But we do know the teams going in the Pac-12, and Texas State being one of them for the Pac-12 resurgence. So I'm going to call senioritis here. I think it's a step back. But I like this program too much to say they're one of the worst teams in the conference, and I think they have some talent that can compete. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you, but I do sense some senioritis and going to the Pac-12, not necessarily motivation. Raymond Burrows, NIT selection, no expansion. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. The 72 max and make it only play-in games. I mean, it's bullshit. And playing games is ridiculous if they make it all 16 seeds and 12 seeds and stuff like that. It'd be criminal for those teams that want to make it to the dance. So, please no expansion.
Yeah, and I also saw, Texas State, they also added Mekhi Willis from UL Monroe as well. Kind of a big man, 6'8", 235, average 10 and 7. So they kind of pulled in, some a couple, damn near three guys from both of the Louisiana schools. I know they weren't, particularly very competitive, with both of the Louisiana schools kind of finishing near the bottom or at the bottom. But I think, bringing in those guys that are familiar with the Sun Belt, they're seniors or graduate seniors, so they definitely have the experience there in the Sun Belt. I think that can, bode well for Texas State. Not like I think that it's going to, make them better by any means or be able to take a step up, but I think it's going to be able to allow them to kind of remain the same and compete similar to what they were last year.
All right, the penultimate. Troy Trojans, Troy, Alabama, last season 23-11, tied for first, 13-5, one returning starter under Scott Cross, 103 and 87 through 6 years. Troy, always competitive in the Sun Belt, at least recently. I think it's just that system that Scott Cross has molded into that likes to play that ground and pound, and also that defense that is just stout and is formidable and just is dominant. They're going to just eat you up. They're going to force turnovers. And no matter who's on Troy's offense and roster and defense, they're always going to have a good defense. So I think the athletes and transfers that they bring in is solid. They make the NCAA tournament last year as well, which is awesome. So good for the Trojans. Great year last year. I think they're going to be just as competitive this year. The only thing I'm worried about is their depth. So I think the depth could be an issue for Troy, but I'd always have to say under Cross that the pieces that they have can always play a solid defense to win them games and be competitive in the Sun Belt. So top half of the conference for me again for the Troy Trojans.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ken, what up, man?
One thing I really like about Troy and just what Scott Cross has kind of bought is just the physicality that they bring there in the front court. But also, I really like the guards that they have. He always has these tough as shit guards that are, they might be undersized, but they don't back down from physicality, and they get into the paint, they drive, they finish at the rim. I haven't personally watched a couple of these guys, but one guy that I'm curious to kind of watch is the true freshman, Javin Colbert. I know he's only 155 pounds, but, averaging 32 a game there in Texas. 4A player of the year in Texas. Crossed the 40-point mark 7 times, scored 51 one time as a season high. I'm curious to see if he's able to possibly, translate that to, to be in the Sun Belt. So that's just kind of a name that I've kind of gotten in the back of my mind on Troy, because they obviously lost some guards last year. So they're going to have to replace some of that guard play. So I'm curious to see if he's one of those guys that's going to be able to immediately step up as a freshman, or if this is going to kind of be a learning year for him. So that's just a guy that I'm kind of looking out for. But yes, definitely high on Troy. Always think that they're a proud program there in the Sun Belt. They're always going to be competitive. I like them at the top of the conference.
All right, last but not least, the UL Monroe Warhawks, Monroe, Louisiana, last season 7-25, Sun Belt 3-15, tied for 13th, 0 returning starters, first year for Phil Cunningham. So completely new rebuild here. A lot of young guys on this team looking at their roster, and just brand new faces. So complete rebuild. I think this is, just give you my spoiler, going to be my 14th pick in the conference yet again. I just think they just lack competitive, but they randomly could be sneaky at times, especially in the Sun Belt. But I think talent-wise, they're one of the worst in the league, and they're going to have to do a little rebuild as they start from ground zero.
Yeah, Keith Richard retired last season. 15.
Not the Rolling Stones, Keith Richards, but Keith Richard, yes.
15 years there. Not sure how he survived that long. However, he did. And
Who else are they going to go to?
true. And here we are. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't see anything that stands out to me on paper that would convince me that they're going to be able to get out of the cellar this year, especially in a first-year head coach with Coach Cunningham there. Doesn't mean that it wasn't the right hire, or doesn't mean that he can't have success later down the road.
Excuse me.
He took on a team that finished 7-25 last year, and I think we had mentioned with Coppin State, what do you expect? And I think maybe a goal for them is a double-digit win season. Just kind of slowly but surely, just building it up. You can't just quickly change it. I think, maybe in the Power 5 where you can bring in, 10, 12 transfers that are high level players, you can maybe flip a season and have somebody go from 7-25 to 25-7. However, in the mid-major ranks, I just think it's a lot harder. And I don't see that happening. So yeah, I'm going to have them at the bottom of the conference yet again.
All right. Spoilers. 14th pick, we already know that. That's our mine's ULM. So we're going to rank them. We do them alphabetically. We rank them 1 to 14 1 to whatever the conference is. But look at that. 14 teams in under 1 hour. It's pretty impressive.
Hey, we're rolling tonight.
We're rolling. 14 ULM, the Warhawks. Enough said. Just talked about them.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like I said, just echo everything that I just said in their preview. I just don't see them being very competitive here in the Sun Belt, so I got them at number 14.
Yeah, number 13 for me is going to be Southern Miss. I think it's just bad talent for Southern Miss, unfortunately, and maybe they get the drama off them, but and Coastal Carolina could be a rightful position for 13th, but I think they're going to be a little more sneakier for this year.
That's where I'm going. Coastal Carolina at 13 for me. They're a baseball school.
Enough said. Coastal Carolina for me at 12.
Yeah, and I like Georgia State here at number 12, in my opinion.
Yeah, Georgia State for me at 11 as well. So we have a definite bottom half of the
Sun Belt. Yeah.
Sun Belt. Yeah. Sorry, conference.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, and so number 11 for me, I'm a little bit higher on Southern Miss. I think, like I said, true addition by subtraction, losing Curbelo. So while they aren't going to be world beaters this year, I do think that they take a small step up and win a few more games.
All right, let's see. I'm going to go for number 10. Shoot. Number 10, I'm going to go UL Lafayette. Actually, no, I'm going to go Texas State, number 10. Senioritis here in the Pac-12 for Texas State.
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to go I'm going to go Louisiana here. I think this is the right spot for them with that first-year head coach.
Number 9 for me is UL Lafayette as well.
Yeah, number 9 for me. I'm gonna I'm gonna have that be debating. I'm gonna say these next three are kind of toss-ups for me. I could see him kind of finishing any which way. But I'm actually gonna go. I'll go Texas State here at number 9. I like the point you made, just them going to the Pac-12 after this year. But like I said, I think they're gonna kind of remain the same, be in that same 9-9 type of a deal, maybe 8-10. So yeah, give me them at 9.
Different sports school for me at the 8 spot, Appalachian State. I like them defensively, but offensively is where I worry about them. 8th, Appalachian State.
Yes. So this to me comes down to home environments. And so I'm going to put Georgia Southern here at number 8. I think while I like their home environment, or while I don't really like their home environment, with just how big that stadium is or that arena is and how little it is. And then you'll see this next one, I think has a better home environment for sure.
Let's see. Sorry. Number 7 for me is going to be, this is where I'll take you got your 7 yet? I'm going to go, this is where I'll go Georgia Southern, I guess. I'm really higher on them, honestly. I kind of like them in that 7 or 6 spot, but I like this Georgia Southern team. So.
Okay, yeah. So for me, I have Appalachian State here at number 7. I feel like their home court environment is a lot better than Georgia Southern's, and that kind of is what got me to kind of put them just slightly above Georgia Southern there. I was kind of going back and forth between those two.
6 for me is South Alabama. I think South Alabama is a solid program. They're going to be this may be a hotter take, but I think they're going to just take a step back just a tad bit. But I got them in the 6th spot. I think it's going to be very competitive like it was last year. We talk about Georgia Southern. I like them and being one of the better teams in the conference. Well, they can be 10-8 and or 11-7 and still finish 7th in this conference, knowing the Sun Belt. So, yeah, 6 for me here is South Alabama.
Oh yeah, no, 100% agree. We could pick number 2 and we could miss they could end up, our 2 spot could be 8 and we'd miss it by 1 game.
Right.
Exactly. Number 6 for me, I'm gonna go. Pains me to do this, but I'm gonna go Marshall here. I like their home court. Of the remaining 5 teams, looking at kind of just like body of work and just who they have, I just feel like the other 5 teams I'm a little bit more high on than Marshall. So I've got Marshall at number 6.
Number 5 for me is going to be Troy. Troy, the NCAA tournament bid team last year. They're going to be solid defensively, top 5 team. But yeah, 5, Troy.
Yeah, so 5 for me might be a shocker to some, but Arkansas State is going to be my number 5.
I like it. I think Arkansas State's definitely got a solid roster.
I think they got a good roster.
Chandler Jackson as well.
Yeah, I think they've got a good roster. However, they're losing all of their starters, bringing in a new head coach. I think there's going to be high amount of pressure on them. Like I said, a lot of people are high on them to win the conference or to be regular season champions. But I just don't see it happening. I think maybe they miss out by a couple games, and that kind of slides them down to the 5 spot.
Yeah, I can see that. Number 4 for me is going to be uh, number 4 for me is going to be man. These top 4 are tough because I think they're all viable candidates to win the conference.
Oh, 100%. As you saw last year, what happened with the top 4?
Right,
Tied first.
it's insane.
I don't think you can go wrong with this order. I mean, you could have 4 different people put it in 4 different are going to have a good chance within the last week of the season of their conference champion that they pick being a possibility.
Right. No, I'm with you, and like it's just a little crazy, I'll say, but just to say the least. All right, I'm gonna go number 4 here. Is going to be James Madison. Going James Madison in the 4th spot. I think they're always going to be a solid team, but this is the step back that people were worried about last year that we didn't get under first-year coach Preston Spradlin. But a step back, 4th. They were finished 4th last year, so I don't think it's much of a step back at all. It's going to be a good year, and just maybe not what they wanted expectation-wise, wanting to get that first spot.
Yeah, we align here. I think we're gonna have a little bit of difference of opinions here at the top, but I've got James Madison here at the 4 as well.
Number 3 here is going to be Old Dominion. They have one of the better players in the conference, Robert Davis Jr., and they bring back continuity, like we mentioned, and I think they're going to be definitely up there to win the conference. And hell, all of these teams may be tied for first.
Yeah, I just want to talk about this real quick. I think it sucks ass.
It's horrible.
I hate it. I hate the way. Same with the West Coast Conference. WCC does the same shit. And what we see, every single year when they have this, where they're protecting their 1 seeds, you get the same people in the conference championship year in, year out. It's just horrible. I hate it. Just go back to a standard format, shit. Even, I don't like leaving somebody out personally. I'm a big fan of, playing a playing game, in a 14 team bracket. I don't know what that looks like. I guess what top 4 going to buy, things like that. But yeah, no, I hate it for sure. But I'm going to go here at number 3. I've got Old Dominion as well. Did you just say Old Dominion?
At 3, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I got sidetracked by that comment. Yeah, I'm going to go 3. I have Old Dominion.
Number 2 for me is going to be Arkansas State. And this year's winner of the Sun Belt, the Marshall Thundering Herd, and Cornelius Jackson going to bring home prominence in his 2nd year, even under a new roster. I like this team. I think this top 7, I really enjoy all 7 teams. This was really hard for me to put together. I went a lot of scrambling and crossing off. So, yeah.
Who'd you pick number 1?
Marshall.
Hell yeah. I love it. So 2 for me is Troy, which then that means the last one left, South Alabama. Chip on their shoulder, missing the NIT tournament. I'm gonna roll with them and the chip that they're playing with this season. So I got the Jaguars coming in number 1 in the Sun Belt.
All right, top to bottom in the Sun Belt for me. Number 1, Marshall. 2, Arkansas State. 3, Old Dominion. 4, James Madison. 5, Troy. 6, South Alabama. 7, Georgia Southern. 8, Appalachian State. 9, UL Lafayette. 10, Texas State. 11 Georgia State, 12 Coastal Carolina, 13 Southern Miss, and 14 UL Monroe.
Yeah, so for me, I got number 1, South Alabama, number 2, Troy, 3, Old Dominion, 4, James Madison, 5, Arkansas State, 6, Marshall, 7, Appalachian State, 8, Georgia Southern, 9, Texas State, 10, Louisiana, 11, Southern Miss, 12, Georgia State, 13, Coastal Carolina, and rounding out the bottom 14, Louisiana Monroe.
All right. That's the Sun Belt Conference preview. And it's not over, baby. Talking SWAC now. Alabama A&M out of Normal, Alabama last season, 10-22, 6-12 in the SWAC. Look at that. Even says SWAC. 0 returning starters. Dante Jackson, a whole brand new look for Alabama A&M. I like Alabama A&M. I mean, they haven't been the best team. Now they get a little rebrand. I think they could be somewhat competitive, maybe around like 500. They go to IU this year, Clemson, Ole Miss. I think they can definitely be competitive in this conference as well. It's just going to have to be under a first-year coach, but there's always beginner luck, especially in these types of conferences. And I think Alabama A&M could just be right above what they did last year.
Yeah, interesting move by Dante Jackson. Comes over from Grambling, and as the head coach there at Grambling, he had just led Grambling to their first NCAA berth, and now he comes over to Alabama A&M. Big name to watch for Alabama A&M is Contavious Dozier. He was at Grambling last year with Coach Jackson. I think he could be one of the top players in the SWAC. 6'1" guard. He was first team all SWAC 2 seasons ago. Has been made the conference all tournament team the last 2 years as well. So I really think that he has the potential and the ability. Starting 61 games there in the SWAC. I think he's going to be one of the top tier players. So I think they're going to definitely utilize him and rely on him a lot. I see Alabama A&M. Taking a step up from last year, finishing 9th. So I'll go, middle of the pack for these Alabama A&M Bulldogs.
I don't know if it's a better job or not, to be honest with you, in answering the question, Raymond Burrows. So,
yeah, I don't know if he was just looking for something new. He had led Grambling to their first NCAA tournament. Now you've got an Alabama A&M team who hasn't been to the NCAA tournament in over 20 years. So I don't know if he was just looking for a new challenge or, if it actually led to more money going to
8 years at Grambling. It's always time. So.
Yeah. So I honestly, Raymond, I have no idea. That is genuinely, that's a good question. I'd be curious to see if somebody could look up his salary. They're both state schools, so you could probably find his salary, and I'd be curious to see if he took a significant pay raise.
All right, Alabama State, the Hornets from Montgomery, Alabama, last season 20-16, solid season, 12-6 in the SWAC, 1 returning starter, Tony Madlock, and just did the Sun Belt. Now we're doing the SWAC. For anyone that's just tuning in, thank you, appreciate you. Like and subscribe, follow us on the Pump Fake Pod. But I like this kind of roster Alabama State has. They're always a solid team. I think Tony Madlock's kind of rebuilt this program into what he wants a little bit. They go on a lot of different games and a lot of away games. I think that's going to prepare them, especially for SWAC play. And I think they're going to be a solid team overall. I like the size that they have. I think Madlock's system, like I mentioned, is good, and I like their backcourt as well, and being able to spread the floor and run and gun kind of under Madlock's system. So I like this Alabama State team. I think they're going to be competitive yet again in this conference.
Yeah, the cost of success and the cost of Alabama State winning that conference tournament, making it to the NCAA tournament last year, cost them, 2 guards that were all SWAC, transferred out, 1 to Eastern Kentucky, CJ Hines to Temple. So it's one of those things where they're replacing a lot. I see them maybe finishing in a similar position, that tied fourth, fifth type of a range, and then maybe they get they catch lightning in a bottle and they get on a run and they roll through the conference tournament again like they did last year, because they were playing really well. I will say, like I was winning some good money on them. They're at the last 2-3 weeks of the season, because they were playing really good ball down the stretch, and obviously it was definitely showed and proven by winning the conference tournament.
No, yeah, absolutely, and I think this Alabama State team is definitely going to be flirty.
Yeah, and just one guy I'll mention. I'll mention a couple guys real quick. Some transfers that they brought in. Trey Miller from UTRGV. He averaged 10 points a game last year, 4 assists. Also averaged 10 points a game the year before at Incarnate Word. So that was there in the Southland. And then Demarion Bonds, 6 points, 3 rebounds a game, shot about 40% from the 3. He's a transfer from Central Michigan. So I feel like he's a guy that has some good outside shooting that could definitely play a role and play a factor in replacing those guards that Alabama State lost via transfer and in-developed ability.
All right. The Braves of Alcorn State, Lowman, Mississippi. Last season, 11-20, 11-7 in the SWAC. And now you bring in head coach Jake Morton under assistant Florida State from Leonard Hamilton after that dispersion and pink slip. Now he's moving on to be a head coach here for Alcorn State. So I think this team is definitely one of the worst teams in the league and talented, but you never know in a first-year coach and what system he can bring in, because they bring in a lot of different pieces. One from Jacksonville State, one from a couple D2 schools, and then you also have a Niagara as well that went to JUCO, an Army transfer as well. So, I think you can have some toughness here, and you never know under first-year coach. So I think it's going to be a step back though in the SWAC for the Braves, just with the new look. So yeah, I think it'll be an issue, but they do have a tough non-conference schedule. So you will see a 38-point line from Alcorn State in November.
Oh, you'll see a 38-point line get dropped on damn near every single SWAC team. They go on their annual collect a mill. Actually collect multiple mil in November and December, and then they come on home. It's one of those things where what I like to pay attention to is whenever these SWAC schools get their first home game, you almost always want to bet them because they're just so excited to play at home. The environment's going to be lit. It's like they travel for weeks on end. It seems like they'll never get a home game. Maybe they play one home game against a D2, but when they finally get that first D1 home game, it's like, yep, I'm betting them at home because they're going to be juiced up. They're going to be amped up. So that's something that I kind of pay attention to as the season unfolds. But yeah, in terms of Alcorn State, I would say a couple guys to watch out for. Bryson Calamese, he was a Iowa Western Community College guard. I think he's going to be able to play a big time role at the point guard position for them. And then another guy there that you had mentioned, TJ Small from Army. He sat out last year, but before then averaged about 10 points a game there at Army. So those are kind of two guys to watch out for. But also, I probably should give my take on the team as a whole. I agree with you. First season, it's one of those things where I feel like they're definitely going to be below 500 here in the SWAC. So,
I mean, the chat makes a great point. I mean, they definitely get their Hyatt Rewards points or Marriott points. That's for damn sure, because that first 2 months of the season pays off for that, and then they can use those to hopefully travel in the future. But
I feel like I feel like what they should do is they should Alcorn State or one of these SWAC schools, they should literally just for like 10 games schedule top 10 in the nation and just collect like 1.5, 2 mil, whatever, 3 mil, whatever you can get, say, all right, we'll come play you, whatever. Just get your complete ass kicked, but then use that like 20 mil that they collect throughout those 10 games and just put it back into their NIL collective and bring in fucking studs. Best logo in the SWAC right here.
Take us away, Elliot.
About the logo? My favorite thing about the damn logo. Look at the lions, the mane.
No, I know that. I know that.
Spells you. I know. I'm just saying for everybody that maybe doesn't know, but that mane spells UAPB. Fantastic graphic design school, I would assume.
Best logo.
That is the best.
Maybe
logo.
in college basketball.
Best logo in the SWAC. But yeah, so Arkansas Pine Bluff Lions, located Pine Bluff, Arkansas, last season, 6-25 overall, 3-15 in the SWAC, good for 11th in the conference. 0 returning starters. Solomon Bozeman has collected a record of 36-88 over 4 seasons, entering his 5th season. What do you think, Huff? Oh, he left. So he's putting me on the spot. Okay.
No, I'm here. Sorry, I'm here. But I like this Arkansas Pine Bluff team. They were very bad last year. I think it's one of these teams that we're going to see just kind of a step up, a few wins extra than last year. And then that little 10-win team that we talk about just because we maybe see like a little jump. But I'll tell you what, it's still going to be a less talented year for Arkansas Pine Bluff, and they definitely need to do a lot of proving and kind of back against the wall here maybe for Solomon Bozeman. Year 5, 36-88. We're going into year 5. So it's been rough for Arkansas Pine Bluff. So I don't foresee them kind of taking even a step up here and continuing down in the cellar of the SWAC, but it is an increase in talent. I think they can get 10 to 11 wins maybe.
The infamous Dr. Bradley. Everybody was wondering if he was going to play last year. Was he hurt? Was he going to play? What was he going to do? Man was a monster for APB last year. 20 points a game, 10 rebounds a game, 5 assists a game, 56% from the field, 38% from the 3. Well, unfortunately, they don't have him anymore. And a little foreshadow, we might be talking about him soon. So that was my favorite thing about last year, was just figuring out whether fucking Dr. Bradley was going to play, because every single time he played, he freaking balled out. But yeah, I think that they're definitely going to take a step up this year. I think, like you said, they were awful last year. The biggest thing that I think that they did this year was they brought in a lot of shooters. They brought in a lot of guys that could shoot the 3, be effective from the 3. In particular, Anthony Sellers. He was at Missouri Three Rivers College, shot 47% from the 3. Trevon Payton came in from D2 Limestone, shot 39.2% from the 3. And then you have Jamari Hamilton Brown. He was at Independence Community College. Shout out to what was that freaking Netflix series with Jason Brown, Coach Jason Brown? Last Chance U. Shout out to Last Chance U. He averaged 40% from the 3. And then Ahmad Johnson, NAIA from Southeastern University there in Florida, kind of a 3-and-D guy. He was shot 45% from the 3. So yeah, they brought in a bunch of shooters from the portal. So we'll see how well it translates for them. Personally, I think they're going to be a little bit better than what they were last year. Not quite going to call my shot and say they're going to finish in the top half of the conference, but I think that they're going to be more respectable. Going to be more respected. So with a logo like this, I really hope that they're a lot better.
Yep. One of my favorites. Oh shoot, I did miss one. I knew I missed one.
Damn it!
And I missed a good one.
You did, because I just foreshadowed my whole entire. I was setting up my punchline.
I had a good one, but Bethune-Cookman, one of my favorites in the conference. I knew I missed one, but hey, can't all be perfect. and making slides is a lot for 363 teams. But 13-5 conference record, 17-16 last year. Daytona Beach, Florida, under Reggie Theus, 55-74. What a shame that I missed this one, because forget talking about Arkansas Pine Bluff and Alcorn State. This team's going to be good. I think Bethune-Cookman could easily win this conference. I think they definitely took, not even a step back, but they weren't really impressive as much as I thought last year, and they finished 13-5, maybe just covering wise. But yeah, I think the Wildcats are definitely going to be good. They're one of the most talented teams in the conference, and I'm going to enjoy what Reggie Theus is going to produce this year out of these guys. And I also like what Reggie Theus has done for the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats in general. So I think these guys are going to be gritty. You bring back Harmon, Jacoby Hetty, so tons of good guys returning as well. I think you have 3 dudes that could be all SWAC team. So the Wildcats, very high on my list.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So for me, I was kind of setting up my punchline for a few different reasons. Like you said, I just kind of run down 17-16, 13-5, like you had said. Returned 3 starters from last year's team, who was 13-5, finished 3rd. However, they now add Zion Harmon and Jacoby Hetty, who were there the year prior, but then entered the transfer portal, and kind of Reggie Theus was like, all right, go ahead, go on your way. Now they come back. Both of those guys were all SWAC guards 2 years ago. So not only do they return 3 guys from last year's team that was 13-5, now they add 2 all SWAC players that were on the team 2 years prior, or 1 year prior. So, speaking of just talent, but then they add depth too. So the other thing they bring in Arterio Morris. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He was at a South Plains college last year, averaged 12-4. But he was actually the number 19 recruit in the class of 2022, signed with Kansas. And then he kind of got into some trouble, possibly sexually assaulted a girl there at KU, got kicked off the team, went to Garden City Community College, ended up going to a college in Texas last year. But they just signed him very late here in the summer. So he's a guy, obviously super talented, being the number 19th player in the class of 2022. And then they also bring in Jordan Johnson, a guy that averaged 10 points, 3 rebounds there at Southern, another SWAC school. And then Reggie Theus, of course, was not done, because, as I foreshadowed, Dr. Bradley is back again in the SWAC. And this time, Dr. Bradley is for the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. So we're going to have a Dr. Bradley showing. We'll see if he stays healthy. We'll see if he enters the portal 45 times. But yeah, 6'8" graduate student, Dr. Bradley. Last year, like I said, averaged 20 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists a game. Comes in huge, 6'8" guard. Watched him a lot this summer in the Drew League. Was killing people with his athleticism, ball handling. So if he can keep his head on his shoulders and not kind of let his ego get in the way, I think Reggie Theus has himself a squad here. Talented from 1 through probably 9, maybe 10 deep. So not only, are they talented 1 through 5 like some of these SWAC teams are, but they're going to be able to kind of platoon guys in. And I'm really high on Bethune-Cookman. So very, very pissed off that you forgot this slide.
Well,
that's okay. Who else is going to make 363 slides?
Hey, you can make the slides next week. I'll do the timestamps. We can trade. Deal?
I mean, you could have at least, forgot like Mississippi Valley State slide.
I'm gonna go. Don't make me go Greg Olson on you.
I would be cool with that.
Don't make me go Greg Olson on you. You wear these. Look at you. You don't wear outfits. You don't wear good outfits. But no, I got a good punchline. Doctor. Gimme Bethune, I got a bad case of loving you.
Okay.
All right.
That's our theme song.
Yep. And look at that, just right off the dome. Just fluid. This is a team I didn't forget because I was excited for. And look at that. Feels like it's a flag. It's like the "Don't tread on me" flag. People think that they're going to be just taking a step back or even just middle of the road yet again, but I'm actually kind of high on a sneaky team for me for these Florida A&M Rattlers. So Florida A&M Rattlers, Tallahassee, Florida, last season 14-17, 10-8 in the SWAC, one returning starter, and look at this, Charlie Ward. Yes, the Charlie Ward will be coaching these Rattlers. So coming in, he also brings in transfer from Buffalo and Tallahassee legend Anquan Bolden Jr. Yes, Anquan Bolden's son. Yes. You also have some SWAC interconference transfers as well. A transfer from Hofstra and Jaquan Sanders. And then Elliot, I hate steal your thunder here, but Tuscan Onoya from Kansas Dodge City Community College, I believe, or Kansas's Dodge City. Yeah. Dodge City Community College. The Australian missed the last 2 seasons, one at Dodge City, the second at UT Arlington Mavericks. So Dodge City, shout out National Lampoon's Vacation. That's where Uncle Eddie's from, and cousin Eddie, excuse me. One of my favorite movies of all time, the original National Lampoon's Vacation, when they stop in Dodge City, Kansas. So yeah, let's go somewhere near Dodge City. I think is what it says. Clark Griswold, National Lampoon's Vacation, not even Christmas Vacation. National Lampoon's, the regular one, is so good. Yeah, so Dodge City. How about that, Elliot?
Hey.
I like these Rattlers here, though. I think they're going to be a sneaky pick, and they're going to be in the top 5 of this conference. I think they have an underrated talent of roster. They're going to go flirt around with winnable teams: UCF, Georgia Tech, USF, and TCU. I mean, yes, they probably aren't going to win, but I think that they can definitely compete and maybe get a bye win like we're talking about. So let's go.
Sorry, I'm just enthralled by Ken's comment. Had to comment back. Dr. Pepper always greater than Coke. That's
so.
I'll stand firm in this. You a Coke guy?
You're not. I've seen you drink Coke and Diet Coke all the time.
I like that.
Did you ever drink Dr. Pepper?
Oh, I just had Dr. Pepper last night. Check the timestamps.
I thought that was a Coke.
Check the timestamps.
I think it was a Coke. Or was that 2 nights ago the Coke was?
That's Dr. Pepper both nights. Check the timestamps.
Yeah, I just drank too much Dr. Pepper as a kid. Actually, that was my Dr. Pepper and pizza rolls after school. That was what I lived off of.
That was the go-to.
Now I'm a Coke guy, but I do hanker at Dr. Pepper every once in a while. How about a Mr. Pibb? Remember those?
Oh yeah, Chipotle, Mr. Pibb. Fantastic.
Yeah, Dr. Pepper's gas. Feels a little healthier soda, although it's not, but definitely feels a little soda. But come on now, a McDonald's Coke, say less.
Yeah,
that's top tier. That's luxury. But yeah, let's go Rattlers.
Yeah. So for me, I'm not as high on them as you are. First year in the program with Charlie Ward. We'll see. We'll see what happens. They can definitely prove me wrong. But I feel like maybe they're gonna take a little step back. I know Patrick Prairie, he decided to transfer over to Grambling and take decided to take the head coaching job there at Grambling State. So I was looking at it. He, like you said, he brought in some good pieces. It's just gonna be kind of a prove it year for me. Awesome. Proud program. I'm happy for Florida A&M. Just how terrible that they were, and the fact that they've kind of changed it up here in the last few years. So I think that they can keep it going and not regress to how they used to be. However, I just don't see them repeating the success that they had last year. So I think they might take a small step back.
All right, Grambling State the Tigers out of Grambling, Louisiana, 12-22, 7-11, and finished 8th in the SWAC. 0 returning starters, and then first-year coach under Patrick Prairie II, who is actually Florida A&M's coach last year, who did a great job. And now it's just swap around because then you had Dante, blanking on his last name, but going to Alabama A&M. So just bouncing all around the SWAC here. But this Grambling State team, they bring in some serious talent, even with 0 returning starters. You obviously bring in some Florida A&M players and some Alabama A&M as players as well. And then you also have a Coppin State player in Darius Ward, who averaged 13.2 points per game there. And then you have Paul McMillan IV, who averaged 20 points a game at Canisius. So a big loss for Canisius. Now you take a step in. He's like, I'm getting the hell out of Canisius. I'm gonna go win at Grambling State. And then Nazar Mahmoud from UTSA, the road runner. Jamil Mutlib from Appalachian State. So I think this team's got a lot of talent for the SWAC, and I think we'll be flirting with the top spot again, maybe around the middle of the pack. But I think they're definitely going to be flirty. And last year we saw them randomly win games. So especially if you got Prairie, who did such a good job at Florida A&M last year, now going to Grambling State. So I like these Tigers this year.
Yeah, as we've talked about, Grambling State's one of the best coaching jobs there in the SWAC. So kind of curious that what Dante Lewis, I can't remember, who went over to Alabama State. What was his? Or Dante Jackson went to Alabama A&M from Grambling State. So just a kind of a curious move in that regard. But yeah, don't bring any returners back. I'm curious to see just kind of how this works out with Patrick Prairie. Obviously did a fantastic job at Florida A&M. But it kind of gives me a little bit of uneasiness when your kind of top 2 scorers, top 2 guys were at teams that are proven losers, not proven winners. With Paul McMillan coming from Canisius and Darius Ward, like you said, coming from Coppin State. So when you got your top 2 scorers that you're probably going to rely on, had a combined win total of maybe 9 last year. It just kind of puts a little question mark on me. For me at least, but I definitely do not underestimate the coaching job that he can do. Clearly, if he can win at Florida A&M, he can win anywhere. And if he is at one of the best SWAC jobs in Grambling State, he most definitely can win. Will it be this first season? We'll see. But I think he's going to definitely be able to overall, build this program, and Grambling State's going to be kind of a prideful program at the top, how they previously were.
Can't agree more. Talking about being at the top, Jackson State Tigers, Jackson, Mississippi, last season 16-18, 14-4 in the SWAC. 3 returning starters. Mo Williams, great coach under Jackson State. I think this is one of the most talented teams in the SWAC here. So Mo Williams doing a great job building this program back up to what it can be. They play Illinois, Louisville, Auburn, Arkansas, Houston, Northwestern, and TCU this year. So they will be definitely, we know we're going to get a Houston first half under for Jackson State, but not in the SWAC, because we do have the SWAC here. I think one of the best teams for sure, especially with some of the best players in the conference, especially in the backcourt. You got Jackson State, Dorian McMillan, sophomore, and Deshaun Ruffin, who definitely is player of the year potential yet again. So I like this SWAC conference future for Jackson State. I think it's definitely worthy. They're probably one of the favorites, but a lot of high potential going in for Mo Williams. So outside of the 2 star players that I mentioned in McMillan and Ruffin, who do you like from Jackson State? They got a high roster with a lot of depth.
Yeah. First off, shout out King Maggot Brains.
Hey, right on, King.
appreciate you joining, dropping that in the chat. Always a pleasure, just bringing all sorts of coverage to definitely basically every single conference. We look to highlight every single conference in one way or another. And tonight, you just were lucky enough to pop in and hear us chop up the Sun Belt and the SWAC. So if you want to listen to some Midwesterners talk more basketball, we're going to be, continuing to do this like 2-3 times a week, talking every conference. We're on conferences 13 now. This is 14.
We're starting 4 or 5 days a week here pretty soon.
So just kind of slowly ramping up. Almost got half the conferences covered so far. But like Huff said, we're just starting. We're just speeding up. So yeah, I would say one of the guys that I've kind of got my eye on is Devin Rice, transfer from Louisiana Tech. Didn't play too much last year. Averaged 4 points a game, 3 rebounds a game. He kind of was a rotation piece at Louisville a few years ago. So I think that Mo Williams can get the best out of him for sure. The only thing that I really think Ken brought up a good point that I was kind of going to bring up is they don't have much size. You brought up their backcourt is definitely tremendous. I think that they maybe have 2 of the best guards in the SWAC, probably going to be all SWAC, both of them. But, when they come up against a team that has size in the front court, say a Bethune, that's going to be a very intriguing matchup. And I'm curious to see how that kind of plays out on the court.
Ball, baby.
Yeah. So, I see Jackson State yet again being one of the best teams here in the SWAC under Coach Mo Williams. I think he's just continuing to do a better and better job. One of the few guys that came from the NBA as a player and has dropped down to the college coach that I feel like has actually translated well. Sometimes it doesn't work out as well, but this is one of those cases where it actually has. So I think he's just going to keep getting this program better. Obviously, he's going to be able to bring in high-level talent just from his name and the people that he knows, the people that he can surround himself with. So yeah. It's one of those things where I think, Jackson State's going to be right up there at the top of the conference, but I'm just a little worried about the lack of size that they have in the front court.
Oh, baby. Talk about gambling. Mississippi Valley State, the Delta Devils out of Itta-Bena, Mississippi last season, 3-28, 1-17 in the SWAC, finished 12th, 1 returning starter. George Ivory, a whopping 9-88 for 4 years, looking to get his 10th win in his 5th year here. He knows it. He knows this roster's not very good, and it's not going to be good again. So what the heck's going on with the Delta Devils? They do play UAB this year, Texas A&M, Kansas State, Florida State, West Virginia, Oklahoma. So not as bad at teams, but or not as top of teams, but they're still going to be a 40-point dog here in November. So yeah, Mississippi Valley State, just a classic. But one thing that George Ivory is excited about this team is adding just a tad bit of depth. So don't you dare give me some players and say that this and that. But he was excited about the depth, and I'm always excited about their media team. Their announcers do such a great job. Whenever they tried to shut those announcers out, that was bullshit. And I really like these announcers, and their social media page is fantastic.
Oh yeah, if we had an
they're finishing 12th again. They're finishing 12th again.
If we had an all-announcer team for the SWAC, 100% Mississippi Valley State. If we had an all-Twitter team, they're going to be Twitter of the year in the SWAC. They've got a lot of things going around the court. They have absolutely nothing going on the court. I will say, funny little story. Last year, they came up to K-State as well. And so they were in Manhattan. I went up there the night before the game. I've got season tickets there. So sometimes I'll go up the night before just to stay so I don't have to drive that same day. But went there the night before. I went into Buffalo Wild Wings. Whole Mississippi Valley State team was sitting there. grubbing on like 500 Vito's wings night before the game, pregame meal. You would think, okay, we're gonna go pregame meal at some Italian place, maybe get some carb load, things like that. Nope. These dudes were sitting all around, just family style, in the middle of Buffalo Wild Wings.
Is that Asian zing? Is that Caribbean jerk? Okay.
And they were just going to town on some buffalo wings. And so I was like, you know what? I'm betting them to cover. And sure enough, they covered against us, unfortunately. But yeah, so I don't want to, I'm not going to bore people with the talk. Obviously, as people say, the proof is in the pudding. Last 5 years, 2 wins, 5 wins, 1 wins, 3 wins. Need I say more? Ken Palm, 364 team last year. The fact that you said he's trying to get his 10th win in his 5th season is absolutely hilarious. It's just, I'm excited to just follow the Twitter, watch the announcers, and that's about it from this Mississippi Valley State team. So yeah, I'm gonna over under 3.5 wins. I know Raymond in the chat.
Yeah.
I know Raymond in the chat just did 1.5, but I'm gonna base it off of last year, so 3. So I'm gonna say over under 3.5. Actually, I want to pull up. Hold on, I need to pull up the schedule.
I mean, they're gonna win. They're gonna win at least 2 games. I bet.
They're gonna play that women's team again, Mississippi Women's College. They're gonna win.
Yeah.
Oh shoot! Why are we doing
They
this?
named some non-conference teams that they play. So.
Oh no! They won 1 conference game last year. Their first game at home is Tarleton State, middle of December. So literally a month and a half into the season, that's their first home game. And then they don't play another home game until conference play, Alabama State. Oh, no. Yeah, I'm going under. Can they beat Hawaii? Oh, no.
They're gonna win it all this year.
Oh,
the entire NCAA tournament. The team that'll be joining them, though.
Yeah, under 3.5. I'm going under 3.5.
The team joining them, Prairie View A&M. Oof, I think they're going to be bad. The Panthers out of Prairie View, Texas, 5-27, 4-14 in the SWAC. Tough non-conference schedule under Byron Smith, 128 and 161. Prairie View A&M. Ooh, okay. So they play LSU, Missouri, North Texas, Oklahoma State, A&M, and Wichita State. All losses, unfortunately. I don't think they're going to be as good. People think they're going to be a little better than they were last year, but I think they're going to be just back down there as well. I think they lack some of the most talent on the team. They lack talent compared to other teams in this conference. Do I like Byron Smith as a coach? Yes. And I think they do bring in some decent transfer portal players from Idaho State, Utah Valley, Georgia Southern as well, a team we talked about earlier on the Sun Belt preview, and then a couple D2 kids as well. So I think this team's going to be down below in the SWAC.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. They're going to be near the bottom. Shit, maybe this might be the team that Mississippi Valley State can pick off at home. I think they're fresh off of coming off their worst season since 1995, 1996. But yeah, I don't even, no need to really gonna go through the roster here. I just think they're gonna be not very good and near the bottom of the conference. And like Raymond said, they're gonna get 2 automatic wins against Mississippi Valley State.
Maybe not. I mean, maybe Mississippi Valley State could be potential.
But yeah, I don't see them being very successful. Obviously Byron Smith's just happy he has a job. He's been there 11 years, going to be a 12th. Nobody else wants it, so I think he's got a good job security for the next however many years, as long as he wants to stay there. But yeah, one thing I will say about Prairie View A&M is I used to, back when college football was a thing, I would always go to I would be like K-State, or I'd be somebody like that, and I would do like the kickoff in practice mode, and I would always select Prairie View A&M or like Florida A&M, but Prairie View A&M in particular, I would select them as like as the kickoff team, and I would just see how many times I could return touchdowns against them.
We talking practice. We talking practice, not a game, not a game. We talking practice in a video game, not a game.
So the fact that I'm talking video games, doing a college basketball preview just shows how excited I am about this Prairie View A&M team.
Yeah, but I think it's a sore subject for college basketball, unfortunately, right now. But yes, and then it's just what a step back it was for video games being able to have FCS schools. Now you don't have FCS schools, but besides that, I do want to maybe flex something here since we have 5 viewers live here. Appreciate you guys. I am top 500 on Xbox and Madden. Just want to say that I'm a very good Madden player. So, but yeah, I want college basketball. We need college basketball.
If anybody else is good in Madden here in the chat, please let me know. I will definitely figure out a time that we can live stream a game against Huff, and I'll be the commentator. I'll be the Mississippi Valley State commentator, and I'll commentate, and then we can maybe do some no vig, set some lines, and see what's going down.
I'm willing to bring anything. I know I have a better record than Prairie View A&M. Sometimes just a little bit above 500. But yes, we need the college hoops game again. But 2K came in and just private equity the situation. So those fucking bastards. Southern Jaguars. Elliot, you lead us away for the penultimate slide of the SWAC.
Yeah, so Southern Jaguars here, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, last season, impressive 20-12, 15-3 in the SWAC. SWAC regular season champions, first overall. They bring back one returning starter, Coach Key, Vin Johnson, 38-26 in 2 years, approaching his third year. I guess he's already started his third year of the season here. Lost in the SWAC quarterfinals, despite the impressive season in the regular season. They kind of laid an egg there in the quarterfinals of the SWAC tournament. So,
yeah, I think Southern really did last year, and that was their kind of roster to prove it. I think they still have a talented roster this year, and I like what Kevin Johnson is as a coach, but I think last year was their time to really take that step up. I'm kind of worried about their, I think they'll definitely be competitive in the top half of the conference, but a little worried about their just kind of depth of the team in general. You do have Michael Jacobs, one of the better players in the conference in general, one returning starter, but that's going to be leading this team. So I think they'll still be good, but not top 3.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, that's really the only guy that I'm high on is Michael Jacobs, that they return. I think he's definitely an all SWAC type of a player. I think last year was it for them. It was kind of impressive. They had 47% of the court time came from reserves. So they really had kind of a interesting mix of how Coach Johnson kind of led that team. He started with a group of 5, but then played another kind of group of 5, 6 people around the same minutes. So I don't see that happening again this year. I mean, they do have some pretty good depth, but not the type of depth that they had last year. And then it's all about, can these guys that he brought in from those lower ranks, can they ball out here at the D1 level? But yeah, it's not like I'm low on them. I think that, they can definitely be one of those teams that is right there near the top. However, I have a few teams this year specifically that are just more talented top to bottom, I believe. So I just don't think that they're going to repeat as SWAC regular season champions. I will say their color scheme, best in the SWAC for sure. I love their color scheme. I love their jerseys.
Yeah, I love their jerseys too. Great band as well. It's a solid football program also. So I like the Southern Jaguars here. I think we're pretty much in a similar boat there for Southern. All right, last but not least, Texas Southern, the Tigers. It was a down year last year in Houston, Texas, 15-17. The SWAC 12-6, tied for fourth. 2 returning starters under Johnny Jones, 121 and 117, 7 years. I can't believe it's been that long. And it's actually 121 and 107, so I have a stat correction. But the 2 returning starters is a great thing, and just a solid program that always would get to the NCAA tournament, even with Jones and under Mike Davis as well. Shout out Mike Davis, solid coach. So yeah, I think they're definitely the team to pick in March always, which is so good. But do bring back Zaire Hayes as well, Colby Granger, Jalen Weisinger. So some good players, I think, for Texas Southern. That's a sneaky roster that's going to be always at the top of this conference. That is a really good team. So I like Texas Southern. I expect them to be just fine and not at the bottom half, even with a step back last year, only being 15-17, but finishing 12-6 in the conference.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, I think Zaire Hayes, he's a good story. Former walk-on there at Texas Southern, now was the second leading scorer last year. Comes back as basically one of those seasoned veterans that Coach Johnny Jones is going to rely upon. And like you said, they may not win the SWAC regular season, but they're the most dangerous team there when it comes March. When it hits March, if you don't bet on Texas Southern, you're losing out on a lot of money, because something happens down there in Houston that when it hits March, Texas Southern just becomes a different team, plays a different level of ball. And, they could be the 8 seed, 7 seed. We've seen them kind of all over the place. They make a run in that conference tournament and more often than not get to the NCAA tournament. So yeah, I'm high on them as well. I agree with Raymond though. Curious to see, he's done a fantastic job there at Texas Southern. Is there a possibility that, sometime, I know it's his 25th season overall, is he gonna get another shot at that Power 5 rank or even that higher mid-major, or maybe he's comfortable here in the SWAC at this proud program. So I think he should get another shot personally, but Texas Southern wouldn't be the same without him and what he's done the last 7-8 years now.
Yeah, Mike Davis did a lot. Just don't forget Mike Davis. Texas Southern. All right, that's it. We got the SWAC top 12 here. Predictions for the SWAC, starting with number 12. I think we all know it. Mine's Mississippi Valley State.
Should I go Prairie View A&M?
I think they're a lot. No,
Mississippi Valley State for sure.
Number 11 for me, Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Okay, for me, I have I might have just switched my mind.
Well, what do you switch? What do you? It's just 11.
I know.
Just the one up from Mississippi Valley State.
I know. I
You
almost.
can do Prairie View.
I'm gonna go Alcorn State.
Alcorn State. All right, that's it. We got the SWAC top 12 here. Predictions for the SWAC, starting with number 12. I think we all know it. Mine's Mississippi Valley State. Number 10 for me, Prairie View A&M.
Okay. That's where I've also got Prairie View A&M right there.
Number 9 for me, Alcorn State, the Braves.
Okay. Give me APB.
Number 8, Grambling State, the Packers logo.
Give me which one are we? We're on 8. Sorry, I'm trying to write these down as I go. 8, I've got Florida A&M.
7, Alabama State for me.
7, I'm gonna go 7. What did I say for 8? Oh, Florida A&M. I'm an idiot. Sorry, it's late. It's even later for you. But 7, I'm gonna go Grambling State.
6 for me is Florida A&M.
6, Alabama A&M.
Number 5 for me is Southern.
Damn. Dropping them down a bit, huh?
They're going to be competitive still. 5. They'll still have 11 or 12 wins in the conference in 5th place.
Alabama State for me at 5.
Number 4 for me is Texas Southern.
4 Southern for me.
Number 3, maybe a hot take, Alabama A&M. I like them a lot this year.
Number 3 for me, Texas Southern.
And then that rounds it off. Number 2, Reggie Theus and Bethune-Cookman, and New School, Mo Williams. Gets it done. Jackson State, number 1.
And we're going to be talking a lot of shit this year because I've got Jackson State, number 2. And Reggie Theus and the Fighting Dr. Bradleys, Bethune-Cookman at number 1.
It's a trademark song, so I can only be approved if you sing it. So the doctor, give me the doctor, give me Bethune. I gotta. But no, appreciate everyone tuning in for the Sun Belt and SWAC. Our predictions are all on Twitter. Well, they should be, but they are all on Twitter. So look out for those if you ever have a chance. And then we also get timestamps as well. On all YouTube videos. If you miss a team or want to talk about a team, feel free to tune in. We are at Pump Fake Pod on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Make sure to go to our social media at Pump Fake Pod as well. Appreciate you guys in the chat. Virgil, Ken, Raymond. Where's that other guy? King Maggot. Raymond, Ken, really appreciate you guys. You guys were chopping Virgil. You guys were chopping it up in here. Channing Brown, thank you. I know a couple of people watching from my hometown that were hidden in the chat. Come in. Come hang out. But no, this is the Pump Fake Pod. Appreciate all you guys. Elliot, any final thoughts?
Yeah. As Virgil said, life's a garden, dig it. I always like to say life's a garden, don't be a hoe.
I don't mind that, but a hoe's got to be able to dig it. That's an interesting talk point there. But we will be back not till next Wednesday night, so October 1st. So enjoy the rest of your September. Fall is here, sports are picking up, and college basketball is just around the corner. And you got all the research here on the Pump Fake Pod. Appreciate everybody. That's Elliot Money at I'm_Money with a capital E. I'm at Michael_Huffer3, all underscore caps. Appreciate all you guys. Thanks, everyone. And see you October 1st.
Appreciate y'all.
Peace and love.